Start off from the Bomas of Kenya, where we understand NASA has stormed out of that meeting involving them, Jubilee and the IEBC. Earlier on, we got reactions from the NASA side, but currently members from the Jubilee side are reacting at the Bomas of Kenya, led by Kipchumba Murkomen, Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet. Let's cross over there live and listen in.
Jubilee, for even a situation where they will not participate in the elections, or where they will want to cause violence so that the election cannot take place, or where they want to go to court to stop the elections from taking place. We are prepared for all the scenarios. And so whatever they were calling bombshell here is basically a smokescreen. It cannot meet the weight of what they call bombshell. And we ask our supporters, as you can see, all indicators publicly show that our friends are not ready for elections. As you can see, they move from press conference from Bomas to Upper Hill, or Capitol Hill as they call, and then they move from there. They will have another one in Bunge. We are busy campaigning. The chief agent who has our candidate who has sent the chief agent here and ourselves is very ready for the elections. He's busy campaigning this afternoon. Even tomorrow, all over the weekend, he has a very tight program to ask for the votes of Kenya. The other thing I want to say is that the bill that is proposed in Parliament has been tabled in the National Assembly for reading this morning. We will table it in the Senate in the afternoon for the first reading. And I have already formed the committee that's going to discuss that bill. We're also going to pass the motion this afternoon for that committee. From tomorrow, the Committee of the National Assembly and the committee formed in the Senate will have joint sittings for public participation. Senator Orengo has a very enviable position. He can contribute on the floor of the House. But in the event that Baba told him not to go to Bunge, we welcome him to public participation with members of public. The issues he wants to raise, he can raise. We will put an advert in the newspapers. Those issues can be raised. But I want to dissuade or clear the air on these bills. Number one, the bill in no way was the creation of Jubilee. The bill was as a result of the decision of the Supreme Court that actually wondered loudly, the majority decision. I have seen Senator Orengo here trying to insinuate that it was because of the dissenting opinion of the judges. I want to make it abundantly clear that the majority of the courts wondered the place of the transmitted results that were being transmitted from polling station. We have accommodated that place in law. They wondered how to deal with complementary system of the results. We have accommodated that in law. And I want to make it clear that that bill does not in any way alter the electronic transmission of results. It will go on as it was. It does not alter the manual transmission of results, which also happened. It will go on. It actually recognizes that complementary system in law. Number three, it does not threaten in any way the powers and the functioning of the chairman and the members of IEBC commission. To the contrary, it fills the vacuum. If anything happens when elections are going on, it makes it succinctly clear that the commission will still continue functioning and there will be no vacuum, there will be no crisis in the country if any commissioner was to decide to resign or anything disables. You remember these things happen. The judge of Supreme Court was unwell, and the Supreme Court continued. So we are just providing a mechanism where if any of them was to be incapacitated in any way, the commission cannot stop, it must continue functioning. That is why our colleagues have realized we have sealed all the loopholes that were going to make elections impossible on 26. And that's why they are icked, they are angry with the law, which can still be discussed in second reading and the third and the committee stage of Parliament. So as we speak, I want to give that assurance to the country. And the last thing is that let it be known that as Jubilee, we are willing any day, even if they say this afternoon, to meet NASA, to meet any member of public, to meet the commission, as long as that meeting is towards having free, fair, credible elections for the purpose of this country. The last thing I've seen yesterday in today's reporting by yourselves, that these are Jubilee demands, these are NASA demands, the negotiation failed. There was no negotiations. Anyone who was thinking that we are negotiating Nusumkate or we have started a Serena process, I want to make it abundantly clear. We were called by IEBC to come and have a discussion on preparedness, and that meeting was for presidential candidates. And we've come in good faith, and we are ready for any agenda. IEBC, if they call us tomorrow, whether NASA will be there or not, we will go there because we are prepared for the elections. We know our colleagues are not prepared. We want just to ask them that don't take the country into violence because you cannot get what you want through a dialogue. And if they want dialogue, we are ready to dialogue with them at any time, anywhere. Thank you very much.
You were quick one. Just let's all of us talk, then you can ask the questions, because that way we'll have a more structured discussion. Secretary General Raphael Tuju.
Thank you very much. I think the two senators have been very articulate on this. I don't really need to add much. I think it is important for us to just appreciate, and I can just add in a small way, to appreciate the level of double speak from our friends at NASA. I think they're on record as having said that they will not engage in any way with IEBC. They are no longer interested. We were surprised when they came yesterday morning. Then, after they came, they said, we don't agree with this agenda. We need things included in the agenda. As my colleague has said, we agreed that bring your things on the table. We had an agenda of 8 items with the IEBC. They added another 8, so we ended up with 18. Come the afternoon, they said, oh, there's another thing we want to add, and that is the debate in Parliament has to stop for us to continue. Of course, the IEBC nor ourselves have got any authority to stop the debate in Parliament. This morning when they came, and I think this has been forgotten by my colleague because there's a lot of absurd dances that we were engaged in, is that we are 4, you are 6. Can you reduce your numbers on the table? They felt that there should be 2 lists on the table. The letter from the IEBC had to be brought to determine how many can we be. That was their preliminary objection even before we started the meeting. The number of people sitting on the table, the number of those who are representing IEBC. So it's a little bit childish. It's the same thing you see that, well, we don't want Safaricom, but they love the M-Pesa and the pay bill number. We don't want Safran Mofo, but they're the ones who brought Safran Mofo here. We don't want Chiloba, we don't want elections, we don't want IEBC, we don't want everything. So this is a silly dance. They're now talking about a parallel process established in Parliament. They've been having a parallel process of mass action. Do they want us to have a parallel process of mass action as well? We are following the law. They have their parallel process of mass action, of people not going to work, and they've been preaching that, sabotaging the economy, but we use Parliament. Then they start arguing, oh, you know, they want to misuse their majority in Parliament. What is wrong with majority? We are in the situation in which we are today because of a majority ruling. If it was not a majority ruling, we would not be where we are. We respected the majority ruling. There was an opposing ruling. There was a dissenting view from 2 judges, but we had to go with the majority. Now they are making majority in Parliament be a dirty word. It's pathetic.
Jeez, thank you. Finally, kidogo. Chirchir ongeza kitu something. Let's everyone have a bite.
Thank you. I think it has been very well articulated, but I just want to add one thing as regarding some of the amendments. For me as the chief agent, and even as we listen to the majority, we must ask the question about why the forms from the minority was indicated that there was some falsification. And in the bill that has been laid in Parliament or tabled in Parliament, and I'm sure as members of the Fourth Estate will have possibly seen this bill already, I think it's perfectly in order to make it punitive for anybody who falsify documents. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the minor amendments that will seek to ensure that we don't get to where we are by being presented with 2 documents, one falsified and possibly the original missing, and a decision has to be made on a falsified document. One of the items today that is in the amendments that has been tabled is a very punitive penalty for anybody who knowingly falsify documents, and so that we do not get into this kind of situation. But like my colleagues have stated, yesterday we were here, 3 hours later we came back, and we've had postponement over postponement, and it was culminating. And we did realize that they were not interested, but we basically decided to cooperate because we really need to give hope to Kenyans. And like my colleague said, we'll hold an election and we'll take this country forward. Thank you.
Yes, uliza maswali sasa. Let's have structure.
Okay.
No, as we are not in a hurry, you are the ones who will be in a hurry. So
for me,
the question. Gashuri first.
The timing of these bills and what you seek to amend is what was agreed on in a bipartisan manner, in a consensus manner at Windsor. Why the hurry? Why didn't you consider inviting your other competitors in the race if there is any need to change the rules of the game before the repeat presidential match next month?
The law is not cast in stone. You want a few more questions?
Yes.
2, 3. Yeah, 2, 3. Yeah.
Must it be done now, or can we do the fresh elections and then do the
Okay. Yes, and then
again, you say NASA have said there's a reducible minimum. Yes. They have declared it.
Yes.
Is in this bill also you are an irreducible minimum? Only that you have not declared it after holding your.